Hey, it's Tori, and welcome back to my channel. Today we welcome Justine from Employed to Serve to the channel. How are you doing today?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here and obviously you're here because you've got a brand new album coming out, Fallen Star, April 23rd via Spineform Records. You've already had a couple of singles out already. How have they been? Like, how have you found the response from your fan base? Or even, just like myself, I am a new fan that is discovering you with this album cycle.
Yeah, it's been like really awesome. We've been sitting on the album for like a year now. We sort of like delivered it about a year ago, so it's just really fun to be able to actually like release it into the world. Yeah, we've just been like really happy with how the response has been so far. It's sort of like it's very sort of similar to sort of like our previous work, but at the same time, I feel like it's like slightly different, while still being us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think as you grow and you mature, and that also takes effect with the band as they grow and you change styles, and yet you still have that same Employed to Serve sound. You also, one of those singles, you also managed to get a collaboration with Will Ramos. How did that come about?
So we wrote Atonement and we came up with this like really awesome vocal bit and we were sort of discussing it as a band and we just felt like Will would be like the perfect person to have on it. And luckily he has the same manager as us. So yeah, we basically asked him to do it. And yeah, like we didn't actually even ask him to do the singing. We didn't even know he could sing at this point. And we asked, yeah, just to sort of for him to do his like goblin vocals. And he came back and did this incredible singing part at the end of the track and during the chorus. We were like, hell yeah, this is great.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Obviously, when I got into Lorna Shore, he never does any cleans in Lorna Shore. So when he started his own YouTube channel, and I think he did like a cover of Sleep Token and those cleans, and I was like, what? Will does cleans? So that was really cool that you managed to get him on the track. And like, how did you balance that out? Because obviously there are two vocalists within your band, and then adding a third one on top of that. How did you manage to balance everything?
I felt like it kind of came quite naturally for the song. So like Sammy usually sings a lot of the choruses anyway. So that kind of worked out because he sort of doubled up with Sammy and yeah, like the sort of trade parts and the screaming bits like kind of like added a bit more of a dimension to it, which was nice. But yeah, I'm not precious, so
What inspired the title of the album, but also that beautiful artwork that you guys have going on?
So it's sort of like a nod to our second album, which is called Warmth of a Dying Sun. And we sort of wanted to bring it back for this record, kind of like how Iron Maiden do with Eddie. I kind of liked the sort of continuity between all their artwork, so we
Yeah.
thought it'd be really fun to yeah bring it back on this record. And also it's sort of like a nod to changes in life because we were like when wrote the second album we were sort of like at a crossroads of sort of like I think we were just sort of in our mid-20s sort of like working out the whole band thing and things like that, and I kind of feel like it's a similar now as like we're sort of like in our early 30s, like this sort of like new stage in life of just sort of like navigating being a very much a fully fledged adult
Hmm.
trying to navigate the world. So yeah, that's sort of like was sort of like kind of thought of in that way. And album title way is sort of like trying to think of a good way to put it. Um, yeah, it's just sort of like about change essentially.
Yeah. Do you feel the same as I do? Like, I just turned 37 and I'm like, who let me be an adult? Like, I don't feel like I'm a grown, fully fledged adult right now.
Yeah, oh yeah, like I think everyone does. Like I feel like I always remember Sammy's granddad when he was in his 90s sort of saying how in his head he feels like a little boy still, but then he looks in a mirror and someone older looks back at him and he's like, "Who the hell are you?"
Right, right. It's such a
Um,
crazy concept that, But I love how you did a throwback to your second album, and like you said, that continue. I can never say that word.
Word, isn't
The
it?
continuation of your past selves, because it is important to remember where you've come from and where you started, and also interject that into where you are now, and I'm sure you'll continue to do that with future releases. Could you tell us in your own words what the album is about and what it represents for you personally?
So throughout the record, it's sort of about trying to make a best out of every situation in life and sort of striving forward and being the best person you can be without too much PMA language because that like I mean, in the right sort of setting, like it really hypes me up. But I feel like you never want someone to sort of say just cheer up when you're not in a good mood. So I like to think it's sort of like, like a positive driving force of an album. And it also sort of touches on like sort of like the darker aspects of life, like addiction, and sort of depression and all those lovely things.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to not only have the bravery and the guts to bring that into your art, but it's also important for your listeners as well to be able to connect with that sort of stuff and feel like they're also not alone. Because I think a lot of the times, even though we are so connected today in society, I mean, the fact that we're sat here across an ocean being able to do this interview, it speaks volumes to that. But also, we do feel alone sometimes, and just having that music and people like yourselves being honest and brave about that darker side of life, just it really helps. So I just want to say thank you for that as well.
Oh, thank you. No worries. Yeah, it's just I think it's important to embrace life in all of its facets. Because I mean it exists whether you want it to or not. And like, yeah, it's such a common, common sort of struggle, whether it's yourself or people around you.
Yeah, it is, and it's well, it's not nice to bring it to the forefront, but I think it's an important thing to do. What did the creative process look like for you guys as a band when it came to like composing and sitting and writing the lyrics for these songs?
We don't really like write things together that much. So Sammy tends to come up with an idea and he sort of programs the drums and then we sort of sit together and write lyrics, or one of the other band members has like an idea that they record and send over. And then what we do is we sort of like listen to it on like for a bit, and then the next practice we start working through it together. We've kind of pretty much worked that way for like the whole time we've been a band, really. Some bands do super well writing together in a practice room, but we kind of find that quite time consuming. So yeah, we just sort of like try and hash as much out as possible like before going to the practice room with it.
Yeah, well, I can not only imagine that it's time consuming, but also when you do get together, because you're kind of like family at this point, you somewhat get distracted and
Oh yeah.
like messing about and whatever, just having a good time with it, and that's what life should be about. So I understand taking it from like your own personal input and writing, and then sharing like throughout the week up until band practice, and then getting all together and you know meshing it out that way. That I completely understand that, because I would be the same. You get me in a room with somebody that I love and adore, and it's just like, yep, I don't know if much is gonna get done right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, it's boring for me as a vocalist because I don't have an
Right,
instrument.
right. Well, I
It's all
mean,
about.
you technically do have an instrument, because I mean, your vocals
Yeah,
are
let's
your
go with that.
instrument, And how did you yourself get into doing like harsher vocals like that?
Um, I kind of I did it. I started doing it when I was like 19. I used to play guitar, but I struggled actually learning how to play guitar and sitting still and applying myself. Like I found it really boring,
Yep,
like doing the
same.
same thing over and over again. And I had a habit, especially I'm quite like it now as an adult, but when I was younger, I really had sort of like phases where I'd pick up a new hobby and then get bored, like be immersed and then get bored and put it down. So yeah, I sort of like always wanted to be in a band, but I never had the attention span or patience to do it. So I found doing vocals was sort of something I could do with like without too much effort. Obviously, it took me a while and effort to get good at it, but like at the beginning, I kind of just made noises until they didn't make my throat bleed, and then yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense because I connect with you very much with that. As a kid, I'd always start I've done trumpet, I've done piano, I've done guitar, and I just get to a certain point and I hit a brick wall, and it's just like, do I really want to continue this on? And then also with me with guitar, like I've got really small hands, so like the fret work was really hard for me, but like just hearing your vocals, both your cleans and your harshes, especially on your newer track Fallen Star, girl, you're incredible. Like give yourself credit. You have that instrument.
Oh, thank you.
um, what was like the most memorable or like challenging song to write or record for this record?
Oh, that's a good one. Mm, I'm trying to think. There's quite a few hard ones. So I don't have a lot of time to learn the songs before going into the studio, so it's all very new to me every time I go in. I think, hmm, I'm trying to think. I think probably the first track, Treachery, was quite hard for me to do, because that was quite fast paced. But yeah, like it was that was quite like consuming. I do find just generally like recording hard because it takes hours, well, me anyway, hours to do like a couple of songs and like you're shouting for like hours at a time. So usually I'm used to um yeah, like doing what, like an hour set or something
Hmm.
like that. But when you're doing a whole vocal recording day, it's like 3 hours of shouting. And the headaches are very, very intense.
Yeah,
But yeah, like I think probably the first track on the record. But generally I just find all of it quite hard.
yeah. Well, like you say, I think we have this sort of same personality where I'm not going to say ADHD because I don't know if you're like diagnosed with anything like that, but just you need some form of stimulation, and just doing the same thing over and over becomes somewhat monotonous. And I get, of course you're in there for 3-4 hours at a time, and your voice, you can only do so much before you're like, okay, enough is enough, I can't continue on. So just props to you for getting it done and getting in there. What are some of the key musical influences that like shaped this album's sound?
Ooh, a lot of Scandi on this, like sort of like In Flames. Trying to think. Soil, like some soil work. Yeah, like sort of like bands like that essentially. And sort of like, we always like got a bit of Slipknot and Machine Head and Sepultura and things like that because we sort of definitely grew up when new metal was yeah, like at its height. So yeah, that's like definitely bled in. But yeah, we've kind of got a bit more synth kind of sound onto it because of like the sort of stuff that Sammy listens to and we listen to as a band. Joe, he listens to a lot of Dio. So there's a bit of that kind of like coming in with the synth sound. Um, and yeah, and like a bit of probably him, like love metal
Yeah.
as well. Like that record, like is a huge one. Like I think for everyone in the band, but especially myself and Sammy. Yeah, that's quite like a seminal record. But yeah, it's like I'm making it sound like a completely non-metal record in terms of like what you've written. But yeah, it's like kind of there's touches of it if you look for it.
Yeah. No, I mean, sorry, excuse me. There's so much influence and there's so much musical styles out there that if you personally enjoy something, then why not bring that into your own art style and into your own music, you know? I still think from the two songs that I have heard, they are pretty heavy and they are pretty in your face, and even with your cleans over on Fallen Star, it's such a huge song that I think a lot of people are gonna enjoy it who are into like the heavier side of things, even though you've got these influences that aren't necessarily metal, if you want to be that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's such a funny thing, isn't it? Like subgenres and
Yeah.
people, I'm sure people on the internet will tell us what we are.
Right, exactly. That's why I started my channel. It was one of the reasons because, like, I think we as human beings tend to put ourselves in this little box that we discover as teens, and we don't tend to like go outside of that box. So I started I found reactions, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" Like, when you first see it, and you're like, "Okay," and then I got into it myself, and now I'm discovering so much. And I hate subgenres and genres because if you enjoy something, just add it to your playlist and enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy something, move on and listen to something else. I've
Right.
never understood that gatekeeping aspect of things.
Yeah, it's I kind of liken it to when people like support a football team as like well, I guess American football or like our football.
Well,
Um
I'm
so
British, so
oh yeah.
yeah.
But but yeah, they kind of like act like there's only one band you're allowed to like or one
Yeah.
genre. They kind of like go like, no, I only like live or die by this band or genre. And nothing else like touches it. So kind of like almost that kind of mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it. Because I agree with that. Even with like American football, it's the same sort of thing. You gotta like this team and you're not allowed to like anything else. And it's like, okay. What
Yeah.
is like the overall message or emotion that you hope listeners will take away from this album?
Ooh, probably empowerment. I like the idea of people getting stoked and like, I don't know, going to the gym or changing jobs or like, I don't know, starting that new hobby that they've always wanted to start. I think life is very, very short, as like cliche as it is to say, and time goes whether you want it to or not. So you might as well enjoy it whilst you go.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Life waits for nobody, no matter what you're going through. And it is hard to pick yourself up, especially when you've been in that darkness. But that's where I feel like music and bands like yourself come in and you really help with that.
Oh, thank you. We try.
Yeah. What personal experiences or stories inspired the lyrics or the music on the album?
Ooh. I think just sort of general, like normal life things, really. Just sort of not knowing like what you want to do with your life. Like, I mean, the band's always been a constant, but like in terms of work or, if you're like, feel like you're on the right path, because I feel
Hmm.
like there's like so much choice now, like because of the internet, you can be whatever you want to be, but sometimes that can be a paralyzing choice because you don't know what you want to do. It's like option paralysis. So I guess it's sort of about that and yeah, just sort of like personal relationships and sort of like how they change and becoming older and becoming sort of like the more, I guess, parental figure in your relationships. Um, yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Just
Wishy-washy
life.
answer, sorry.
No, it's not a wishy washy answer. I think it's a good answer. It's like you say, you want people to be able to feel empowered after listening to the album, and you want people to. Because I'm in that same boat. Even now, I'm just like I don't know what I want. I just sort of stumbled into this music journalism thing, and I absolutely love it. But I'm still like I'm 37 and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do otherwise outside of like this sort of stuff, you know? I think, like you say, there's so much out there and there's so much that we're being fed that it's so hard sometimes to pull yourself together, if you will, for lack of better
Yeah,
words. You
yeah,
have
absolutely.
your headline UK tour starting on April 21st. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I'm really excited. We haven't really toured for we only played like a couple of shows last year because we're sort of like on an off year, like working on this record. So yeah, we haven't really toured since what was last year, 2024, since
Hmm.
November 2023. So yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I can't wait to blow out those cobwebs. Don't worry, we'll get rid of the cobwebs during practice. We'll be on point, I promise.
How do you like personally take care of yourself during a tour? Because I mean, not only is it physically exhausting, but it's also like mentally and emotionally exhausting as well.
I don't really drink on tour. That's like the biggest one because it's very easy to get jazzed on the tour beers. And then I talk too loud or I sing to 2000s R&B too loud and then I lose my voice. So I don't really do that anymore. I'm quite boring. I go to bed as early as I can, which is probably like 2 a.m.
Hmm.
And then yeah, I just sort of like I'm sparing. I'm just very aware. Like, I mean, my body is literally my instrument.
Right.
So I just have to just, make sure I eat properly and go to bed. I like read all the autobiographies from like, your Lemmys and that and like Ozzy Osbourne. I don't understand like how
Yeah.
I don't have the constitution. Like, I don't know, that kind of lifestyle. I like going to bed with a book. Um, yeah. So I do that.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of like the more modern day musician, especially because I've interviewed quite a few now, are the same. It's pretty much the same answer. Just a lot of rest, no drinking, no smoking, obviously, because you don't want that to affect your voice. Just going to bed at a reasonable hour and getting enough rest. And like you, I don't understand how they did that back in like the 80s, early 90s, where it was just party, 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 drugs, 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 and they still managed to get up on stage and do their thing. I don't know. I would not be able to do that. I've got to be I'm usually in bed by like 9 o'clock. I'm an old lady. I'm in bed, just doom scrolling on my phone for like an hour
Yeah, yeah,
before
that's the
sleep.
new drug, right? I
Yeah.
feel like it's a privilege to do drugs and alcohol because there's like who has the money for that?
Right.
Like, it's,
Right.
it's so
Exactly.
expensive. They're like on about in these books like doing cocaine. I was like, who the fuck can afford all of that? Like,
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, even alcohol now is super expensive. You go up to a show and you get a couple of drinks, and I think we paid like $25 for like two cocktails the other night when we went to a
well,
show, and I was like, whoa.
yeah, like I spent like a tenner on a pint of beer
Yeah.
in central London recently, and I was like, it was like, you're like you're bad beer, like well not bad, but the cheapest beer you can get at the
Yeah.
supermarket. And I was like, this is a rich person's hobby.
Yep. Completely agree with you though. So, what if
But hey,
you,
it's like at least for healthier, right? Because we drink less.
yeah, yeah, that's the positive way to look at it. Yeah. What are the band's rest of your plans that you can tell us about?
Oh, we've got festivals in Europe. We're playing a metal cruise. Oh, I don't know if it's
Nice.
announced, but I'm sure it'll be announced soon. Who knows? We're playing a metal cruise, and I'm really excited about that. It's going around the Baltic Sea, so that's gonna be chilly. But
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. What else we got? We got Mystic Festival in Poland. We got Yeah on Air and Grass Pop. I can't remember which countries those are in, so I just names. But yeah, we've got a few festivals, and we are going to do more extensive touring later on this year.
Nice. Do you have any last words for anybody watching this interview of just thanks or anything like that?
Yeah, thank you for watching this, and I hope you enjoy our record.
Well, thank you so much, Justine, for taking the time out of your day to be here. Guys, I will leave the links to where you can find Employed to Serve down below in the description, along with that pre-order link to the brand new album, Fallen Star, which is out again on April 23rd via Spinefarm Records. Please go ahead and pre-order it. It's going to be an amazing, amazing album. Again, Justine, thank you so much for being here.
No worries, thank you.
Bye, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to become a Taurian. Speaking of becoming a Taurian, all of my social media links and my Discord link are down below in the description. We'd absolutely love to have you come hang out in the Discord community, and I will see you guys in the next video. Rock on.